Hello, everybody. I'm Ressie or Res. I am really excited to stream some Planet Zoo content. I've never streamed before, and I'm really excited to just show how I put together a franchise zoo. A lot of people seem to have problems with it, and I know there's so much content out there for Planet Zoo, and so this is mostly fun just for me because I love this game so much, and I really just want to talk about it, just for funsies. So, without me talking too much, we can get into it. Franchise Zoo is unique, and every day you log in, you're going to get 100 credits, which is great if you're like me and you're not great at getting these. So every day you log in, you're going to get 100 of those, and it's awesome. And there's sandbox mode. There's sandbox and career and challenge. Challenge is not too great for me. It's a bit much. Sandbox is fun if you just want to do whatever. That's what I started with, actually. Career is what I always recommend people play. Play at least like 2 or 3 of these to really get an idea of what's going on in the game. They really help. And before you don't even have to watch tutorials. People always tell people to watch a million tutorials. Just play a bit of the career. It's overwhelming at first, but it will show you a lot of the bare basics. And then sandbox is fun. You have unlimited everything. But for me, I want a bit of a challenge, which is why I really like franchise. We're just going to skip this. Don't want to do it. But franchise is great because you kind of work together to create zoos online. I'll show you guys that later. So we're going to make a new zoo. I'm going to do, if you're going first, do a temperate. And the reason for that is, let's do North America. Let's do medium, and terrain type is, I could just do a random height map. Oh, we need a name. I didn't think about this before I started streaming. Let's say Res Stream. Let's see if they let me do that. I clicked it and it hates me. There we go. I guess pink means it's okay. So starting off, you start off with a completely blank map, which can be overwhelming for some people. Personally, I like starting from a blank slate. I think it's much more easier for me, which is one reason why I don't like challenge mode, and I don't really even like the career mode that much, because you're always put into a random zoo with so much in it, and it's just too much for me to even think about. Franchise is definitely where I shine. So you'll notice that the map is actually quite big. This is no Zoo Tycoon. I play a lot on pause. I find a lot of people play on unpause. I personally like playing on pause. So those guys are down here. And you can do that with P. I like to play on pause. So when you start in the beginning, you gotta really watch your money. 40,000 might seem like a lot, but that dwindles quite fast. So one really big thing that I would recommend everybody starts with is wide paths. Let's go, this one's nice, the rustic path. So width, usually like a lot of them will build on 4. This is like a standard 4. It's quite small, and so even in the beginning, if you don't have a lot of guests, you should be building big paths because it will help you in the future. I recommend 6 or 8 for a beginning opening. I like to try to get it as straight as possible, and there's a reason for that, and I will show you. If you click align to grid, this is the only way to get nice curves in paths. The one thing people complain about in Planet Zoo, they can never get nice paths. Path layout is freaking hard in this game. Everybody hates it, nobody enjoys it. So give yourself an easier time and try to visualize it in the beginning. Am I visualizing this right now? Absolutely not. So you should always start off with easy money. Easy money. And the best way to do that is to start with small animals. So, facilities. Animal exhibits. And don't get fancy. When you start off, you want to get fancy. You're looking at all these, you're like, oh my god, this is so pretty, this is so cute, this is so hot, I want it. Don't do it. Basic, bare, basic, we're talking bare, basic. And notice how these are 3,000. So we're placing these down, we're already 6,000 under. And we still have to get staff facilities, so make it easy on yourself. I don't like that doesn't line up, because we're not in the right group. There we go. I'll get into groups and stuff later when we get into building, but right now, we're not getting fancy with it. I have 3 exhibits. So exhibits are small animals. They're not going to be your big animals, your cheetahs, your foxes, etc., etc. And staff paths. Staff paths are great. Use them, because your guests will not walk on them. So it kind of blocks off special areas. Why am I doing this? So, work zones are important. We'll get more into that later when we have a bigger zoo. But for right now, we're going to put down like a staff area. So this is going to be my staff area for these guys. So in staff facilities, there's going to be staff room. Again, don't get fancy with it. Don't get any of these guys. Don't be an idiot. Don't be stupid. There we go. And keeper hut. So keeper hut is where they're gonna like make food. So you always need a keeper hut. Keeper hut, staff room, and right now we're not gonna be getting vet surgery or workshop, research center, trade center, not even a trade center actually, because when we buy, actually we need a trade center to access here, but you don't need a quarantine to get any of these animals. You'll need a quarantine when you get bigger animals, and you'll need a vet surgery too, but quarantines are expensive. So right now, we've already nearly halved our budget with just our necessary buildings, and we haven't even bought any of our animals or hired our staff. So you'll want to think about that. And let's hire a staff. We're going to need somebody to take care of our animals, so we're going to need a keeper. We'll plop him right here. You cannot assign them to work zones, really, until you unpause, and you have them sit there. So what else will we need? We'll probably need a keeper, and we'll need somebody to clean up, but we won't hire them yet until we get some guests. Pretty much all we need is this guy right now. And we're gonna go work zones. New work zone. If anything's red, it's because it's not assigned to a work zone. Now it's green. So the way I organize my work zones is I label who is in them. So I say keeper, and then I'm gonna say front exhibits. And I'm gonna spell it right because that bugs me. Exhibits. Close enough. And then there's like this weird glitch where it doesn't always pop in. Because why would it work properly? Why would it work properly? I personally like to click on them. Keeper front exhibits. So now he's only going to hang around these guys. He's only going to look after these guys. That's awesome. So here's where things get a little bit, not necessarily complicated. You can throw whatever you want in here. Oh, I made a keeper hut instead of a trade center. There we go. Now we can access things. Exhibit and animal trading. We're not doing animals. Animals are too expensive for us right now. We're doing exhibits. So there's a lot to choose from in here. And you can go into your encyclopedia here and you can do any type. We're going to do exhibits. We have quite a bit of options. Now, I have most of the DLCs except one, if I recall. So I would like to use something that's only for standard Planet Zoo, but I don't remember all of them. So we'll take a look through. So one thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing these exhibits is the two main money makers in Planet Zoo are going to be your donation bins. So you make a lot of money through donations, and how educated your guests feel will directly correlate to how much money you're making. So if you don't have any donation bins, you're not making any money. The other way you make money is through selling animals, which for animal trading, it can be quite meticulous and hard because you have to go through and physically pick out your tigers and what tigers you want to sell, and it's a lot of work. With the new update from like a year and a half ago, you can actually sell them directly from here. So when you're choosing animals in the beginning, try to choose an animal that's gonna breed a crap ton of babies. So snakes, you can only have two. You can only have a mom and a dad, and then whatever babies they make. So that's gonna be very slow. So you're gonna want something that's gonna make a ton of babies. But that's not the only thing you're gonna be looking at. You're also going to be looking at, can we see this? Perfect. You're also going to be looking at species appeal as well. I think this is all just animals. There's habitats. Oh. Exhibits. Here we go. So appeal is how much your guests love an animal. So axolotls are always at top. If I'm trying to go for a big money zoo in the beginning, I start off with axolotls, but they are in the conservation pack DLC. If you are interested in throwing some money in for Planet Zoo, I love the conservation pack. There's a lot of little tidbits in there that I use, and the axolotl is honestly one of my favorite exhibits. They love boa constrictors, but as we said, we're not doing snakes because they don't make enough babies, they don't make enough money. The diamondback terrapins, they do breed like crazy, so that's also in the aquatic pack. Gila monster green iguanas, also they only allow 2 adults. Puff-addered western diamondback rattlesnake, we're not doing snakes. Tarantulas also don't breed fast, if I recall. Scorpions are always a good option. So I think we'll do an axolotl, a scorpion of some sort, both of these will breed like crazy, and probably a frog of some sort. Frogs always breed. We'll do a Goliath frog. They're not the fanciest, they're not going to love them the most, but they're going to be okay. So we're going to do axolotl. And I always recommend looking them up in your encyclopedia first, so you know their needs, or something might come up that you don't see before, like temperatures. You're always looking here in species data. So they're going to have quite a few babies, and the group size can be 1 to 5, so that's enough. That'll get you a good amount of adults. And of course this is excluding juveniles, so you can get away with quite a few juveniles there. And so we're gonna do, let's see. So this is where things get annoying for exhibits. They don't always have a ton to choose from. I'm gonna take this girl, even though she's got a very low fertility, but I might be able to breed that out, and she's the only option right now, so I'm just gonna grab her. So for these boys, I've got 92% longevity, 33%. He, not an option. He's not doing too hot. And him, I'm thinking the first one. He's the youngest, and he's got the best stats, so let's buy him. So now we've got 2. We can send those to the zoo. Let's send these guys to the zoo. We'll put them here. Very cool. And then we said we also wanted a scorpion. Sure, we'll do this guy. Some of them have these guys. Try to get them quick, because your goal is to breed a bunch of golds, because golds will sell more. So that's a boy. Do I want 100% fertility or longevity? The answer is fertility, because we're looking for babies, right? And then I said a frog. Let's do Goliath frog. Got this gold boy here, we're gonna grab him. And what girl has the highest stats? Also probably the youngest. I like her. Perfect. So we've got a girl and boy of both. We've got a little Noah's Ark going on here. Goliath, Goliath. She must be from another one of my zoos. Now let's double check, make sure we have everybody in there. So we can go in here. We can go to our animals. I just didn't move the right one over. There we go. That makes more sense, doesn't it? And who's in here for animals? Got our scorpions. Got our froggies. And I like to rename them. Axolotl. Exhibit. It helps you with finding things later. We'll see that in a later video when we get more to animal management. Exhibit management, ever since their update, they've made it super easy. Okay, so what's the problem? Well, they hate us, so we don't like that. And how do we fix that? So we have to play the game. I play on pause a lot. So we're gonna go over to climate. We're gonna move it down. I'm gonna move you up. We're in green there. Oh, we went a little too humid. For the ones that live in the water, impossible. And now we just need it to be a little bit hot. You'll always get your notifications here. Sometimes they mean things, sometimes they don't. Just need it to be a bit more humid for our froggies. Ta-da! Pause, because I love to play on pause. Love it. Love to figure out what I'm doing before I go on. So over here in layout, we have research. I need a research center. Okay, I will get one. Pass. Bing bong. Bing bong. Yes, everybody agrees that pathing in this game absolutely horrible. There we go. So now that I have a research center, I can show you this. Once you hire vets, which we're not going to, they're too expensive right now and we don't really need them, you're gonna have these guys. So these are your research levels. So one cool thing about franchise is that if you've researched this animal in another zoo, it will remember throughout all your zoos. So I've never had a giant forest scorpion before, so I have no research on them. So when people come in to be educated, they're not going to be as educated with the forest scorpions. So they're not going to give as much money there. But that's not a worry for me right now because the price of a vet outweighs the cost of them giving me more money for that. We'll be able to afford a vet soon, but not right now. Pretty soon though. But since I've researched these guys in another zoo, I have these. So the first research you get in level 1, then level 2, then level 3. So I can put these on. And so now he's happy. Now he's 100%. Isn't that awesome? What a good time. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. However, scorpions will be hating me for a little while because I can't get these. Not yet, but maybe later. So, it's not that they're unhappy. They're just not the happiest they could be. But if something happened, like if I lowered their temperature or their humidity and they hated me, I could get protesters come in, and then that lowers everything about my zoo. Alright, so this is the most important part. Path, just kidding. Everybody hates paths. grid. This one's a little bit tricky to do these. How ugly. I should have moved these further out. In fact, I still think I will. M to move. There we go. Paths. Delete. Align to grid. Deselect. Width, make it big. This is where paths get annoying. Stuff like that. There used to be an easy fix. I think it's the corner. There we go. See that? Now that is a good path. Oh, look, it's happening again. Why didn't it happen? It has something to do with when you attach these. It is quite annoying. Like I say, paths are everyone's least favorite thing in the entire game. Why am I doing this? It's very important, and I will. There we go. That's what we want. Okay, so let's start with our Scorpion here, and we'll do this for the rest of them. But we're starting with Scorpion. Facilities, media. You want your guests to be educated. They can't see anything that tells them anything about these frogs. So this is a guest education board. We're going to put one on all 4 sides. And then we're going to take one of these speakers, pop it somewhere, maybe here. And now we have to assign them. This is a Scorpion. This is a Scorpion. Good way to tell is the little picture appears. This is also a Scorpion. Perfect. And now we need to make sure people can give me the money. The money, honey. I like to put them on all 4 corners, closest to your sources of educations. Control D, duplicate. Perfect. Now that is max education. But if we go to zoo and we go to our zoo overview, our education rating, which is our guest education ranking, it's still at 0. That's probably because I like to play on pause. Nobody's made their way over to any of these areas yet. So we're gonna play. Actually, I like to play on pause, and I'm gonna move this. We're gonna do the exact same thing we did to the other ones. It's a little tedious, and there's a reason why I have this big empty spot here. I will show you soon. It's very important, I'll tell you that. Delete, I think it was the middle that was making it work for us. Here. Move her back. Paths. Delete. Align to grid. And align to grid will make it so it aligns with whatever you click on. So I'm aligning it to this object within a group to be more particular. Perfect. Well, isn't that just Sexy. Okay, and we definitely can't forget our educations. So when I'm clicking on this, I'm adding it to group, which is why it's automatically kind of velcroing to the middle. It makes it really easy. And donation is always really hard to find. I just search it, DON, pops up, click, 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 and we have to assign. So for the educational speakers, I like to make them big. I like to make them where people will be when they do it. When they're around the area. They should be kind of fully engulfed, but they can't touch each other. So you gotta make sure that those two aren't too big. Goliath frog. Goliath frog. Goliath frog. Goliath frog. Yay! Okay, that one's done. I'm gonna go over to this guy still. Beep boop. Click. Beep. Boop. Beep. Boop. Don't forget our speaker. People gotta hear what's going on. You especially can't forget the donations. M for move. Click. I don't like to hide my speakers. Sometimes I forget they're there. But a lot of people hide them for aesthetic reasons. They don't like seeing them, which is valid. They're kind of this awkward, clunky, annoying thing. One thing you should keep in mind if you are trying to hide them to make it look aesthetic is don't put them underground. They will be very difficult to attach. If you do, you can get them with the multi-selection tool, but if you've got a bunch of foliage or something, you're gonna have a rough time. Just help yourself out and don't put the speakers underground. That's my personal opinion. If you are a super expert gamer unlike me, put them below ground. See what happens. Hurt yourself. I don't care. Make sure to make that big, engulf the people. Alright. Now I think we can unpause. Things are looking pretty good. The reason why they're leaving is because they think I moved them all. Now they're coming back. Now they're excited. They've got things to look at. How very exciting. So we've got, see, we only took up 3 exhibits. We already ate into more than half of our early game money. So that's really something we've really got to watch. I would say never go under 15,000, especially in the beginning. Getting into debt is not too big of a deal. You can get a loan, but I find if you're in a situation where you're getting loans in the beginning of the game, you've already messed up some sort of flow. So we're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. We're already gaining some money here. I'm going to wait till I'm over 20,000 before I start adding more stuff in. Took a sip of tea. But we're going to take a look at our zoo overview. So our guest education rating is already getting up there. That's exciting. Our guests seem to be pretty happy, which is interesting because we don't have any drinks or food or even washrooms for them to use. So that might go down if we were to expand our zoo and they don't have a lot of places to go. And the animal rating, pretty good because we picked some animals that had a high likeness, like the axolotl and the guy over here, I can't remember what it was. Or the scorpion. The scorpion had a higher one. It was the frog that didn't have that high. Average animal welfare is good to check because if you have an animal and there's been an issue, like they have a disease or the exhibit's filled with animals and they're unhappy, sometimes you can check this and it will be pretty low and you gotta check out to make sure what's happening. We have one staff and he seems kind of unhappy. So let's take a look. Is that him? How does he feel? How does he feel? He feels that he is content with his job, but that makes him feel neutral. You know what? I don't care about you training, but his pay is fair, so maybe he'll get happier. A thing we can do as well is we can go to the staff room and we can use a staff room perk. it actually significantly helps. I generally only use staff healthcare because that makes them more resilient to being overworked. And for him, like, he's got 3 exhibits, and they're kind of far from the staff room, so he might be getting overworked, but in my experience, 1 single keeper at level 1 can handle 3 just fine. So what do these guys need? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at our guests. The guests say, I wish they had food. And zoo entry is free. Well, that's awesome. Education's low. Thirst and hunger. So we've got over 20,000. I said I wasn't going to add anything till 20,000. And here we are. I would say they should have a washroom. Let's see how much a washroom is. Basic washroom, we're not fancy, 2,000. We'll do one of those. We will give them a place to be. And then, so for drink and food, don't get anything that requires staff for a while. Guests will be content with just vending machines. Just get some vending machines. Just get a few vending machines. Everything will be fine with a few vending machines. We'll put something there. And then we'll give them a food. And let's do, everybody loves pizza. Do some pizza. We'll pop you there. And then since we have food now and drinks, we're gonna need bins. Let's go with just a basic bin. I don't quite know what my zoo's aesthetic is gonna be yet. You'll want to put these in a lot of places. For some reason, people are dumb, so it's not that unrealistic of a game, I suppose. Because if they have to travel, like, I would say more than here to here, the litter will just go on the ground. Perfect. I think we're off to a pretty good start. The key to setting up a successful zoo in the beginning of the game, I would say, is your opening area. Don't make it too cramped. Don't put too much too close to the opening area. You want a flow of traffic. Now I think is a good time to check our updates. My zoo has no vets. Well, that's okay. I don't need any right now. I don't need a workshop. I actually don't need a workshop because I've researched everything for workshops in other franchise zoos. I do need a vet surgery, but not until I buy some animals. I do need quarantine, but not until I buy some animals. Many guests think tickets are underpriced. Well, we can fix that. Whenever they say tickets are overpriced, I increase them by $2. $2 is a good amount that they don't complain it being too much, and they don't complain about it being too little. Another thing that helps with education ratings as well, although a little bit, is where are they? These cute little guys. They're only $30 and they're kind of cool. I'll put one right here. So they're just little education boards. You got to make sure you put content on it, otherwise it doesn't count as a content rating. And you can click through and you can click on them. I think I'll do species reintroduction because we're close to the axolotls, and that's actually realistic for axolotls. They're pretty cool. And the great thing about Planet Zoo is it actually is informative. You can actually read all of this, and it tells you, like, everything about it, and it's great. And that does help a little bit, but I will show you the actual secret to how you get your education rating maxed out immediately in the beginning of the game before you have any animals. A lot of people like to throw those around, praying and hoping for the best. It's not going to work. I guarantee it. This is what you got to do. But I want to wait till I'm over 20,000 again. And this is going kind of slow, so let's speed things up. And we're getting more money now. Getting up there. We might need to hire a janitor soon, because they do have to come and empty the bins. Although I'm pretty stagnant in my money. So maybe we'll wait on that. We can check. And we can go here. This is the most powerful tool of the game, is the heat maps. Negative impact on guests. There's a piece of trash there. That's why they're upset. I think we're almost getting enough money that I can hire a janitor so they can clean up the trash. What are we in? September of year 1? Okay. We're gonna hire a caretaker. And I'm not gonna put them on any work zones. Because I don't really have this, I would call this front area, but it's not exactly a work zone yet. And we're making some money. People seem content. How many guests do we have? 136? It's not too bad for only 3 exhibits. I love the lights in this game. You can get some really pretty pictures with the lights in this game. Let's take a look at our axolotls. So if you go to your animals, you can click this little button here, and it actually like kind of shows you where they are. My zoo has no security guards to deal with crime. I'll show you guys about crime later. Isn't he a cutie? There's something else very important I almost forgot about. Pause. You know how I told you can make money? Go to management. We only have 1 boy and 1 girl, but they'll start making babies soon. But I tend to turn on managed population as soon as I start them up. It just is easier for me. So we gotta go here. Gotta look at our axolotl. We can have 5 adults, excluding juveniles. But we'll just do 5 as max. So I think 3 girls, 2 boys is a good amount, because you want more babies, which means you want more goals. So we're going to do 2 males. We're not going to store a trade center, because that means later on you're going to have to sort through all of them. I don't recommend it. Just sell them straight for cash. And the priority doesn't mean keep. It means processing. So my priority for processing, so the ones I'm going to sell for cash, will be by appeal, and they'll be by lowest first. So that means I'm keeping my highest appeals, which means they're just going to keep breeding and breeding and breeding until they're the best of the best. So that's what I want for that. I want 3 females. I want to sell for cash. I want appeal. I want lowest first. And now we're going to turn on population. And then this is fully self-sufficient. 100% self-sufficient. You'll never have to look at that again unless somehow, by some miraculous reason, they all die off. It's never happened to me before, but it has happened to me for something like snakes, where you only have giant fur scorpion, where you only have like 2 adults. You can easily have them die off and you don't even realize, and your exhibit's empty. And if you've got a big, large functioning zoo, 6. If you've got a big functioning zoo, you won't even notice if your exhibit's empty. So 6, I think we could do 3 males. 2 males might be a little sketchy. And we're going to sell for cash, appeal, lowest first. And we're going to do 3 females, sell for cash, appeal, lowest first. We're going to remember to turn it on, that's very important. Now it's completely self-sufficient. Now we're going to look at Goliath Frog. We're going to make sure that we look it up every time. Oh. I picked the wrong type of frog. I can only have 2. This is a good example of why you check it every time. I failed at that. But we'll still go to management, and this is a good example of why you would use management, because right now they've bred, and now they're unhappy because they have more than 2 here. So we're going to do max males 1, we're going to sell for cash, appeal, lowest first. Max population of females, we're going to do 1. Sell for cash, appeal, lowest first. And now, when we turn on manage population and we unpause the game, one of them disappears. Because it's working as it should, completely self-sufficient, and now they're happy because they have the right amount. Alright, now we're hitting almost 20,000, which means we can move on to the next phase. Animal talks. This is how you raise your conservation, or your education rating. A lot of people don't like to bother with animal talks because it is expensive, but it is by far, to me, one of the most worthwhile investments in the game. So we've got our seats. Now we need our talk points. We're gonna plop it. Let's just plop it right in front of this one. Same with this one. Plop it right in front of this one. Beep. Plop this one right in front of this one. Okay. We're gonna save. We're gonna take a look at our current education rating is 2 stars. So animal talks, how do you set them up? You're gonna go here, you're gonna assign your species, which is gonna be an axolotl. You're gonna link your seating, confirm link. You're gonna allow standing guests. That just means that people can also stand around the speaker and not just sit here. It gives you way more traffic flow. And I mean, it's hard and it can get congested and it's hard for them to get out, but I've always found it's 100% worth it. We're gonna do this talk in January. And we're not gonna assign anybody, but we're gonna rename the talk. Axolotl talk. Assign species. Gonna be our scorpion, gonna link our seating, confirm link. Gonna allow standing guests, and we're gonna make this not January. We're gonna assign the same speaker to all 3 of these. We want him to have enough time to get to every single one of these. So we're gonna make sure that they're at that about 1/3 through the year. So January, February, March, April, May, June. Let's do June. So we've got January, and Animal Talk takes about a month, which means they have February, March, April, May. They have 4 months to get over here, and they also need to take a break. That's something else to keep in mind. But right now we're poor, and we're going to assume that our staff don't take breaks. So if it's in June, let's do September. That should give him enough time to get around. Goliath, frog, talk. I know my zoo has no educators to give talks. We are currently in the process. Scorpion talk. Now we're going to do my favorite thing. Pause. We're going to hire staff. We're going to hire an educator. And we're going to create that work zone. With educators, it is absolutely required to make work zones. Otherwise, they run everywhere and they never take a break and they tire themselves out and then they bitch at you and it drives you freaking crazy. Yeah, I said there would be swearing. This guy is, I call them educator. So in all caps, I'm going to do educator. And I'm going to say front talks. I'm going to click on him. He's going to be educator front talks. So one thing they added about probably 2 years ago was roaming talks. Roaming talks are great if you don't have him set up to do 3 things a year. Right now he's got a busy schedule, so he doesn't have time for it. So we're going to just uncheck that. He won't be allowed to do that. Guided tours I'm going to leave checked because you have to create them yourself, so he's not going to do them on his own. So he's just going to go around to these. He's not going to stop and start talking to people and never take a break. So now we've got our talks. That should all be working out. Perfect. One other thing about talks. You have scenery rating. Scenery rating is surprisingly important. And it is based on literally the aesthetic around. But since a game can't look at aesthetic, it looks more at things. So for example, if I find like the biggest, prettiest tree, sure. Here we're on 10%. I'm gonna plop in this big old cypress. Now we're at 18. You see? You see? So if you end up going into construction and you end up putting on like a cute little roof. Oh my god, what a cute little roof. Wow. And then you end up putting a bunch of little things in it and making it pretty. My cat's eating a wrapper. Tristan, can you help her? She's eating something. Anyways, any little things that you put in here will add up in your scenery rating. And if you get 100% scenery rating, you get a ton of people coming to your talks. It's actually amazing how much of a difference it makes. And I have seen limited amount of people talking online about how important this is in your animal talks. But to be fair, I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about animal talks the way I do. Because now if we go to our zoo, they haven't done a lot of animal talks, keep in mind. So our education rating isn't far yet because they haven't presented any talks. But once they do, and maybe not necessarily for the forest scorpion because we don't have the highest education for it, we're gonna find that this is gonna skyrocket when it comes to educational speakers. Very fun. So yeah, I think we're gonna increase this forward. And at this point we're thinking about, see, look, everybody loves it. Facility broken down. Oh no. And the tickets are underpriced. We can fix that, gonna increase that by $2. So once a facility breaks down, that's your first chance to hire your first mechanic. He's not going to be doing much. Now, if I was more efficient, I would fire him when he's fixed these. And we're gonna find him. And unfortunately, we're gonna fire him. Sorry, buddy. We just can't justify keeping him on when we only have 2 things. If we had an animal exhibit with fencing, mechanics will fix your fencing. We don't have any of that right now, so he's gonna be running around and we're gonna be paying him quite a lot of money for doing nothing. So unfortunately we have to get rid of him. As much as I have empathy for all my video game characters, he does need to be kicked out for now. But we'll rehire him. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll come back. Let's see how our educator's doing. He says he's doing 2 people's work here. We can help him out by training him. We don't have a ton of money right now, but we can spare paying him a little bit extra. So every time you train a staff, so we've got 1 educator, and the green star means he's going to be trained when he goes on break. And when he's trained, his salary is actually going to increase. You can actually decrease it as soon as you train them. Generally, hopefully, we're making enough money that we don't have to do that, because I know that they're not real and they're just computer code, but I think that is rude. So I am going to let him level up, because once you level them up, they can do more work and not be as tired. This is also a good time to go to our staff room. And although, again, we're in the beginning, we're trying not to spend money, but I think staff healthcare is a good idea right now. He might eventually ditch an animal talk to take a break. Usually, I only put educators on 2 talks. Usually, they can only do 2 talks at once. So I might have to hire another one. But I think we'll overwork him for now. We'll overwork him and we'll see what happens. He doesn't seem very happy. You can also go to your zoo overview, to your guests, see what they're saying. Sometimes they'll say unique things that will help you think of things. Like, somebody just said, "I wish there was somewhere to sit down." We have enough money. We can add some benches. Put a bench here. So, something about Planet Zoo that a lot of people have found, that a lot of people think is really annoying, is that guests require places to sit down, and they will have a bad time if they don't have a place to sit down. But they never, ever, ever use the benches. It is very rare to see someone sitting on the benches. They use the picnic tables. They use the picnic tables a lot. They do not use the benches. They do not like them. With that being said, we can probably throw a picnic table in the center here. We've got a little bit of extra money. I think we can do it. Where's a picnic table that is not ugly as fuck? This one's kind of cute. It's actually not my favorite. I still don't know what aesthetic I'm going for here. My goal is just to do money. So we can probably... We'll leave... See? See what I'm telling you? As soon as I put it down, they used it. You think they used the benches? No. No, of course not. Of course not. They also really like canopies for whatever reason. We can actually change the colors of these. I think the red's a bit striking. So let's do like a gray. And then the bottom can be like a darker gray. And then it's actually kind of cool. They will remember what you just clicked on, which is very useful when you're building. Yeah. So now at this point we're getting enough money that we can start considering a cheap animal, which will elevate us to our next level. I did say that my first stream was only going to be an hour, and I started at 9:40, so we have a couple minutes. So let's take a look. My favorite thing to do, to run the game on pause, but we're just going to keep it slow. We're going to save. We're doing quite well with our money right now, I think. Axolotl has had offspring, which means we're closer and closer and closer to making some more monies. Another thing, too, is you have visitor player alerts. If you click on them, you can say hello. And you'll get 20 conservation points, which is great if you're just starting out, because they're hard to get. You may notice I don't have as many as a lot of people that play online and make videos on YouTube, and that's because I don't do the lion trading thing. I also don't try to get max amount of money out of my animals. I tend to upload them to the marketplace for cheaper. So I don't tend to have a ton of money at any one point. So let's think about what animal we should add in for my next stream if I ever feel like doing it again. We're gonna save. And it's fun to go through the encyclopedia and like look at which ones. But this is where everybody makes the major mistake. You're not going to do this. Things cost money to feed, and a lot of them cost a lot of money. The most will be the African elephant. It costs almost 10,000 each time you feed one elephant. Imagine if we had an elephant right now. We'd go broke immediately. So we need to be careful that the first animal we get is not going to cost us too much money to feed. And some of them can be kind of deceiving. You would be surprised. So that's why we're going to go to, this is the approximate cost to feed an animal. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 food. In the beginning of the game, you don't have to bother with Tier 3. So, for example, African elephant, 3,000. So when I said 10,000, I think that's if you have like 2. It just really gets up there quite fast. 750 is a lot. Tortoises are great to start off with. They don't cost that much to feed. That's going to barely break the bank. Black wildebeest, $42. That's not a lot, considering how big it is, right? So a lot of them are quite deceiving. Sometimes you have to learn through trial and error, but that's why I look up the guide. It really helps me out. Like an ostrich, you would think an ostrich can't cost that much to feed. It costs 500, which means if you have an ostrich and a boy or a girl and a boy ostrich, and they have a couple babies, you're easily spending over 2,000 to feed them each time. We don't have the money for that. And we also want something with a high appeal rating. So let's go up the appeal rating. Let's take a look here. I am thinking Arctic fox is a North American pack. Red panda's in base game. Let's see how much it costs to do a red panda. This is in, oh, I love alphabetical order. P to W. Red panda costs 100. That's not too bad. We could probably do that because a red panda is only a girl and a boy and babies. That's all you're allowed to have. And red pandas have a very high appeal rating. I think we should do red pandas. So let's take a look at red panda. They're very cute, very cute. You can only have one male, one female. And they'll need, so this is a great thing that they have. We'll have 2, and how many during mating events? How many do they have? Usually they have expected amount through number of offspring per mating event, 1 to 3. So let's say we had mommy, daddy, and we had 3. We'll need at least 245 meters squared with 80 meters squares for climbing, and then that's their temperature. So I think we should build it here. So we're nice and close to the staff facilities, so we don't have to do the running back and forth. Very important to remember, where is your staff coming from? How far do they need to go on break? Because that's this guy's issue, right? He's running back and forth to these guys, and he still needs to go and take a break and come back. And we've made it quite hard for him, but too bad, life is hard. So I think on my next stream, I'm going to build a red panda habitat right here. All right, and I think that's it for tonight. Thank you for my 0 friends and 0 family and 0 viewers for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I might do this next week, maybe Sunday night or Friday night again. And we'll see. Okay, bye-bye.